Hey, this is Ramon Ray of Smart Hustle Media, and you are tuned into Dream Chasers, interviews with the future.
Hey guys, this is Adam Carswell, and today I am joined by Josh Ketner. Josh is the founder of Dreambody Clinic. He was born in the San Francisco area, but kind of grew up in the Seattle area, went to Washington State University, and now lives in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Josh, thank you so much for coming on the show, and do you have any opening remarks for our listeners?
Just happy to be here and, happy to talk about what's going on. It's a crazy time right now.
Definitely. So, guys, I first, it's funny. This is really like the first time I feel like I've gotten to meet and to know Josh, but I've been following him on social media for a while. First learned about him through the Dollar Vigilante. Big shout out to Jeff Berwick, because that guy, I just know with everything that he does has really opened my mind to a lot of different realms of life, including what we're going to talk about here today with Josh, and what he does at Dreambody Clinic. But before we dive into it, just want to hear, from Josh again, a little bit more about your story, what brought you to PVR, and then also, without sharing too much of the of what we're going to talk about in the topic, what kind of brought you into this niche within the industry?
Yeah, so for me, I always tell people it kind of backtracks to when my dad had Lou Gehrig's disease. It's about like 17 years ago, and it's a terrible disease. And unfortunately, when you see that, you just see how just messed up the medical system is. There, experimental things where you don't even know if you're the placebo or getting the medication. And medications that you think would work, things like growth hormone, testosterone, are limited. You can't get them. And so that started my journey. I then, got into caregiving, other things, and eventually made it here to Mexico. But through all that is where I learned about stem cells, where I learned about human growth hormone, testosterone replacement therapy, and just, I don't know if you say I Forrest Gump my way down here, but I guess we can get into the story more. But fortunate events, I got down here and was able to open this clinic where we're able to help a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, we'll go ahead and just dive into it here, guys. So, Josh, it is now time to step into the next level chamber. The topic of today's discussion is the truth about stem cells. Josh even knows this from just our conversation leading up to this moment. I was asking him some very fundamental questions. It sounds like he gets asked all the time. And again, from following the Dollar Vigilante and seeing Jeff's experience working with you, and then also following your Instagram page and seeing all the different clients that you've helped service and provide treatment, that you, as far as I know, like, you're the only person in place that I know to get any type of this treatment. So, like, that says a lot to me in the first place. But where do I want to go with this? I guess let's just begin with probably that first, like, fundamental question. Is everyone's like, they think stem cells, they think unethical immediately. And I think it sounds like there's a big misconception in regards to what's actually taking place and how you are servicing clients, and really all things of that nature in that realm. So kind of take us to the fundamental questions and answers, help us understand stem cell therapy.
Happy to do that. So people get confused. They hear the word stem cells and they just think aborted babies. That is not the case. There are many different types of stem cells. The ones you would think aborted babies, those are called pluripotent stem cells, embryonic stem cells. That's kind of the phrasing for that. We use what's called mesenchymal stem cells, which has nothing to do with aborted babies. Excuse me. But our stem cells are taken from placenta and umbilical cord tissue called Wharton jelly. It would be discarded anyway in a live, healthy birth. So these are pre-planned live, healthy births. The women who donate are given a whole questionnaire type thing. They're scanned for their blood work's off the charts, all the different things they check for. And it's totally ethical. Everybody has mesenchymal stem cells in them. They live on our capillaries. They look like little octopuses wrapped around the capillaries. And at that point, they're called pericytes. They come off and they go to areas of inflammation or injury. And it's our natural way of healing. And this is why children heal so fast, because they have so many more of these. So they're like the managers on the construction site. They go to the injury. They then guide the cellular repair. They first remove fibrosis, which is scarring. and then they guide the different cells to repair the area the way it's supposed to be. Now, the reason why as adults we don't have as many of these is because when we hit bone maturity, typically around age 18 for women, 21 for men, we lose 90% of our capillaries. We're not growing taller anymore, so we don't need all that blood flow, and we lose it. And in turn, we lose 90% of our mesenchymal stem cells. So you just don't heal right. And instead, white blood cells rush to that area. They can only heal via fibrosis, which is scarring. And you end up with the equivalency of a bad foundation, something you can't build on and prevents total healing. So by putting the stem cells directly into joints, for example, like my knee, I had multiple meniscus tears, torn ACL. It wasn't healing. I even started doing human growth hormone for many years. It didn't heal it. And because of the scarring. So when we did the stem cells, we did an MRI beforehand, found that out. Then 9 months later, did another MRI, and I have a brand new knee according to that. And we helped tons of other people with this. So mesenchymal stem cells, they aren't the embryonic cells that you think of. That was all back when Bush was president. He said, the media always twists things. His advisor said, don't allow the federal government to fund this sort of research. We don't think it'll work. And second, we think it's unethical because it's aborted babies. So the federal government didn't fund it, but other places did. The state of California still spent $2 billion on that research, came up with nothing because it doesn't work. Embryonic stem cells, they want to become a baby, they always become a tumor. The stem cells we use, the man who named them, Dr. Arnold Kaplan at Case Western University, he wishes he could go back and rename them. He wishes he could call them messenger signaling cells, because in the lab, they are stem cells. They can become different tissue, but in your body, they don't become different cells. They just guide the healing process. So it's called stem cells, but when you really get down to it, it's just allowing you to heal like you did when you were a child. It's totally safe, totally ethical. There's zero chance of rejection because it lacks what's called human leukocyte antigen, HLA, which is what would tell your body to reject it. So we could take stem cells from you, Adam, and we could take them from your arm, biopsy, culture them, inject them in me. No chance of rejection. They're that safe. But because of the other types of stem cells, they get this bad rap. And I guess hopefully that explains where the confusion stems from.
Yeah, I love the way you broke it down, because it reminds me of, even, for example, the country in which you live, which I find to be a very desirable place to live for many people, and that more and more people should start considering moving to Mexico. You'll see previous episodes here on Dream Chasers and some more coming up. It's all about not just Mexico, but other places around the world that you can live that are just as high quality living as the US, if you just don't know it. And so what you're telling me here is reminding me of, all the people that think Mexico is the most dangerous place in the world, where I have conversations with you and so many other folks, and, I've been there, and I'm like, dude, no one's like, no cartel is even coming close to me. Now, obviously that's there. And just like you're saying with stem cells, like obviously there's some bad practices out there, but it does not, that small percentage does not represent what is actually the truth. And so
Right.
You just reminded me of that by explaining it.
Totally ties in, totally correct.
Yeah. So, but here we go. Let's keep like debunking some myths, because I think, again, I've been following you for a while and we're having this conversation now. So, for me, it's exciting to think about, as you said, like, getting a new knee, or kind of just repairing your body in a way that hasn't been able to be done before. So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm pretty much sold, but like, what are some of your other like myths and like things that you're facing all the time? Like maybe other doctors, I'm sure there's other medical professionals out there that say maybe like what you're doing is wrong or like inaccurate. So like hit us.
Yeah. They'll tell you that there's not enough research. That's always a funny one, because their own system for research disproves that. If you go to PubMed, which is where all the different studies are listed and such, if you type in mesenchymal stem cells, I think it's like over 20,000 studies pop up. It's ridiculous. Obviously not all are on humans, but a vast majority are now, actually. And the other thing is this misconception that where the mesenchymal stem cells come from, like there's a better type. Like some people, and this is why this comes up. There's a lot of kind of lies straight up coming from the United States, because the advantage we have here in Mexico is that we can culture the stem cells, meaning we can take those cells and duplicate them exponentially. We only go to a certain number of rounds because of safety and just replication and error rate, but not very much. But because we can do that, we can get billions of cells in a day, where in the United States, they'll take it from your fat, they'll take it from your bone marrow, but they're not allowed to culture. And they'll call it a stem cell therapy, but like from bone marrow, you're lucky if you get 10,000 cells. From fat, you're lucky if you get 100,000 mesenchymal stem cells. We do minimum IVs of 100 million stem cells, and it becomes a numbers game. And the thing is, the way that they're doing it, Dr. Arnold Kaplan, again, the man who named mesenchymal stem cells, did a conference I went to, and he goes, look, that's false advertising. He goes, by taking it from the fat or the bone marrow in the United States, it is not a stem cell therapy. He goes, it's a cell therapy, but less than 1% of what they're injecting back into you is actually mesenchymal stem cells. So it's like selling someone an apple juice, says it all natural on the label, but then you read the label on the back and it says 1% juice from concentrate. It's what you're getting. So people, they've been misled, thinking that the United States has the best medicine on earth, but they've fallen so far behind in so many areas, and mainly because of overregulation. They preach it in the name of safety, but in my opinion, they don't want you healthy. That's been my experience with the healthcare industry in the United States, is they want to treat the symptoms. They don't want to treat the root cause. I mean, when's the last time they cured something? Just shows you.
Hey man, I love that, because I definitely think that's true. And you just look at, how much money the pharmaceutical industry continues to make every single year. Seems like it just keeps growing. They want everyone, I think, in the U.S. to have some type of prescription from CVS. That's my theory. So,
well, here's a good one: is look at cholesterol. Every year they lower the total cholesterol norms. It used to be 300, now it's 200, and they push statins. This conference, this doctor from Miami does stem cells. It goes, has anybody ever read the side effects of a statin? And people are like, no. And he goes, read it out loud. And he reads it. He goes, that's Alzheimer's and that's Parkinson's. He goes, they're literally giving people these diseases that they can then push more drugs on for something that isn't even an issue. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know we're working with limited time here, but as soon as we start talking like this, I'm like, all right, can we turn this to a three-hour podcast? So let's talk a little bit. I'm sure you get questions about pricing often too. So let's talk about just like some general pricing, if you're able to, and then also, to me, it sounds like a little bit of like the sky's the limit. Like you could get, if I needed stem cell therapy on my ears, on my knees, on my toes, chin, like, I don't know. It sounds like you can put it anywhere. So, I mean, how does that work? I know it's a two-part question, so kind of answer it however you.
Yeah. So first off, I hate going to a website, especially medical sites, and they never have prices, right? So if you go to our website, it's Dreambody.clinic, and all the prices are listed. We've got on the front page, easy links to get to, treatment page. Like a knee is $2,000. That includes an MRI and 25 million stem cells. A shoulder, we can fit 50 million in. An MRI, blood work, 50 million stem cells is 3,000. IVs, we go higher numbers, like 100 million IV is kind of an anti-aging dose, where that's about 3,500. Or our prior biggest treatments are like our IVs of 300 million IV, which are great for autoimmune conditions. We see a lot of MS. The results are unreal there. And type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, and 300 million IV is, getting you up towards like $9,000, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, that's a lot of money, but when you compare us to like probably our closest competitors are in Panama and Colombia, and I mean, they're anywhere from $16,000 to $24,000 or higher for fewer cells than that. So Mexico fortunately has socialized medicine and private care, which manages to keep the prices down considerably, and we pass on those savings.
You mentioned that's interesting. So the IV essentially is what, like the stem cells just going into your entire body or bloodstream. It's not like
Correct.
targeted, right? And then you also mentioned it helping with MS and diabetes. Like that's big. I don't know if you
Big.
want to say that it's a cure, but I don't really know. Like, what are talk about some of the results you're seeing, because that sounds pretty interesting.
So type 2 diabetes is trickier because that one really does come down to diet. I mean, most people know you could probably eliminate your diabetes with diet if you really worked at it. But the stem cells, they send out these cytokines that essentially reprogram the immune system to stop attacking the body. In the case of diabetes, that's the pancreas. You fix that response, and like if you ever call us, people call in, they talk with Carter, he takes most of our calls. The guy's blood sugar was over 400 when he came to us, which he should have died, honestly, with how high his blood sugar was. And we tested his blood sugar the other day. He's at 130. And really 120 is about like they wouldn't consider you diabetic at 120. So he's almost back to perfect. And then with MS, we've switched the protocol. We do the IV and we do what's called intrathecal, meaning we put it into the spinal fluid through the back. And I mean, we've got MRIs of a guy's brain before and after treatment he had MS creates lesions on the spinal cord or on the brain. And we're seeing these lesions heal in like within, 3 to 6 months to where people, I mean, and it's not coming back. It's stopping the body from attacking the brain or the spinal cord. That one's probably the most compelling and the most incredible that we're seeing more and more MS cases, and we're seeing just more and more results there because nothing else seems to work for it.
Wow, very cool. um yeah, so I mean, any other common diseases or things that people are coming specifically to you to get this treatment for?
Um, Probably backs, I would say, all the joints, shoulders, knees, elbows, all that, like golfer's elbow, tennis elbows common, but backs, we've started working with an orthopedic surgeon who used to work with the Miami Dolphins and the Barcelona soccer team. And this is probably the most advanced treatment we do, but it's like we do it in the operating room, big C-arm x-ray so we can guide the needle in. But he puts the needle into the disc because the herniation is pushing on the spinal cord. And when he does that, he injects ozone into the disc that shrinks the disc, which gets rid of the herniation. So it's not pressing on the spinal cord. And then he injects 25 million stem cells into that disc. And most people have more than one disc herniated when they have those issues. And this actually completely fixes that, where the only option they would give you in the United States would be to fuse your spine, which limits mobility. It never plays out perfect. You're always left with pain. It doesn't really solve the problem. And in Spain, they've been doing the ozone since the 1980s. And in China, they do it too. But the US just won't approve it because surgeons want to cut. It's crazy. Yeah.
Is there any benefits or perks tied to cancer? I know you said it helps, with the immune system, but has there been any research in that side of things?
There has, but we don't treat cancer. We don't like We've got a good friend who's a doctor from Atlanta, who's Dr. Jason Williams, one of the most advanced cancer doctors in the world. You ever check him out? It's williamscancerinstitute.com. He does his most advanced stuff in Mexico City. He's directly injected this type of stem cell into tumors. He's seen them shrink by 70 to 80%, but like he said, it doesn't cure cancer or fix it. And there is some research that certain types of cancer, it could actually possibly speed it up. There's no conclusive evidence, so we don't touch cancer. There's better options out there for cancer.
Yeah, but good to know you have contacts. So if anyone's
Yeah,
satisfied or leaning this direction of working with Josh, that you've got someone in the network that I would definitely take your reference over traditional medicine, right? So
yeah, and yeah, you'd see Dr. Williams. The people he works with are like the elite. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He does incredible work.
I love it. Well, getting ready for my next trip to PBR, so I'm sure we'll be seeing each other soon. Josh,
That'd be great.
Actually, we'll do it one more time. What's the best way for our listeners and viewers to follow up and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so www.dreambody.clinic's the website. We have a toll-free number. You can call us from the US or Canada at 833-445-9089. We're on Instagram as Clinic Dreambody. We're on Facebook as Dreambody Clinic. Pretty easy to find anywhere. Yeah, get a hold of us. We'd be happy. We do free consultations. We don't charge people to, break it down. And that's something you'll notice in Mexico is, if you were here in person, like Adam, you could sit down with our doctor for an hour, ask every question you want. And he wouldn't flinch. The medical care here is unreal. They spend the time with you. They make sure you're getting, fixed. And that's what matters.
It's more affordable too.
Yeah, better care, more affordable. It's just better all around, truly. It's pretty incredible.
I love it. All right, Josh. Well, thank you for investing your most valuable resource with us here today, your time. If you could give a shout out to one person you've never given a shout out to before, who would that one person be?
Man, I'll give it there to Dr. Williams. I don't think I've ever given him a shout out, but we were talking about him, and Dr. Jason Williams, he's incredible for cancer and things like that. Really cool.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Dr. Williams. Hopefully you hear this. And Dr. Williams, if you do, we would love to have you as a listener. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This has been great. All right. Well, Josh, one more time. Any parting words, any closing words?
No, just that, do the research, learn, don't just trust what they tell you on the media or where not, do some digging. There's incredible stuff out there. The world's changing.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dream Chasers, Interviews with the Future. We will catch you in the next episode. Remember, in all you think, say, and do, take it to the next level.